until the crisis hit. So which are the best policies to cover you for a weather damage? Here's Rain O'Connor.
Living in Queensland, we get all sorts of extreme weather.
Beautiful one day, raging the next. Queensland's recent floods saw hundreds of homes damaged, a time where many question their insurance.
There'll be a large number of people who'll find that they're not covered. They'll think they're covered, but they'll find that they're not.
Last year, Brisbane was declared a natural disaster zone after the Gap storms.
Look, we were devastated.
Very scary.
And that can happen anywhere at any time.
Alex Carhill remembers it all too well.
I left the house for about an hour and a half and came back to a house where the roof had been completely ripped off and landed in our neighbour's backyard.
Alex and her partner lost 85% of their home and contents. Their insurance company, Amy, honoured all of their claim.
If we had not been insured, I don't know where we would be today.
But not all companies or policies are weather damage friendly. Stephen Mickenbecker is from financial analyst CANNEX. He says choosing a policy with weather damage in mind can be confusing.
If you read your standard product description, it goes to 100 pages. And there are definitions that you've got to be very clear on to understand just what's covering you.
Not reassuring that the Insurance Ombudsman reports an increase of 44% in home insurance disputes, fuelled largely by claims rejections. So what should you look for? First, storm damage. It's defined by violent winds and rain. For example, a wheelie bin that crashes through a window and causes water damage to your carpet. Most policies cover this. Next, flash flooding. This is water from rising creeks or rivers, even drains, but it must happen within the first 24 hours. Some policies cover this. Then there's flood damage. That's an overflow from any water, man-made or natural. Not many policies cover this, and while you can pay extra to get it, if you're in a flood-prone area, you may be rejected. Suncorp is one company to recently introduce automatic flood cover on its personal home and contents insurance policies.
We found a lot of people were very confused. We did some research with customers a couple of years ago about particularly water damage and flood, and for them to understand what was actually flood cover. And most people thought it was all sorts of things.
CANNEX says there are other things to keep in mind with home and contents insurance.
If you have a tile floor, the tiles are part of the building, part of the home. If you've got carpet on your floor, the carpet's part of the contents.
Even things like your air conditioner can vary depending on where they're installed in the home. The next big question is, how much should we be paying? In Michael Eagle's case, he felt insurance was too expensive. But when his home was also battered by the Gap storms, he now wishes he'd stretched the budget.
If I did had it at the time, I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through now. Like it's been a real struggle.
Each year, CANNEX releases annual star ratings on insurers. Their current list of best value for money policies in Queensland are Real Insurance for home insurance, Western QBE for contents insurance, and Suncorp for home and contents insurance. However, they say the best advice is always ask lots of questions, especially with budget policies.
Yes, you might save some dollars today. You might save yourself a couple of $100 today, but that really pales into insignificance if you have a major claim to make. It could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
As for Alex, her house is currently being rebuilt.
I hadn't really valued it in the past, but having had this experience, I tell everyone I speak to, go and get your insurance. It is totally worth it.
Go get your policy now and have a look. This is Extra, still ahead.